The summer transfer window is not even fully open yet, and Arsenal are already moving. The noise coming out of North London right now is loud, it is urgent, and it tells a very clear story about where this club wants to go. This is not a squad that is rebuilding. This is not a club in transition. Arsenal are Premier League champions, and they are acting like it. Every single move being discussed right now points to one thing. Arteta wants to dominate, not just compete. Let us get straight into it because there is a lot to unpack here, and every single piece of this puzzle matters. The attack is the priority, that much is clear. But the midfield is not being ignored either. And on the outgoing side, at least one very familiar face could be on his way out. This is a squad in the middle of a serious upgrade, and the decisions being made right now will shape Arsenal for years to come. If you are the kind of supporter or football fan who wants real analysis, not just headlines, not just rumours dressed up as facts, then this channel is for you. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what we do here at Arsenal Daily Talk is go deeper than the surface. Every story gets examined, every claim gets tested. Stay with us, because this one is going to be worth your time. Here is what is at stake for Arsenal this summer. They are the champions of England. They have earned that title. But the gap between being English champions and being genuine Champions League winners is still real. It is still wide. The situation is that Arsenal know this. The club knows it, the manager knows it, and the recruitment team knows it. Every player being discussed right now is being discussed because of that gap. Morgan Rogers, Morgan Gibbs-White, Sandro Tonali, Matheus Fernandes. These are not panic buys. These are calculated moves designed to push Arsenal from domestic dominance toward European glory. If they get these moves wrong, if they overpay for the wrong players, if they lose key figures without replacing them properly, the window between now and the top of European football gets wider again. That is the real risk. That is what is truly at stake here. Now let us go through every story, one by one, in full detail. Morgan Rogers and the attack plan. It is now clear that Arsenal's primary attacking target this summer is Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa. The situation is straightforward on the surface. Arsenal have identified Rogers as the player who can take their attack to a completely new level. In Arteta's system, in this squad, Rogers checks nearly every box. Now here is my analysis on this. Arsenal already have a world-class defence. They already have a brilliant midfield. The one area where they know they need to push forward is the attack. Rogers fits that profile. He is direct. He is powerful. He is young, which means his ceiling has not been reached yet. For a club that is building toward Champions League success, signing a player with that kind of upside makes complete sense. But here is the critical detail that every Arsenal supporter needs to understand right now. This deal is not done. It is a rumour. It is a target, not a signing. And there is a very real obstacle in the way. Unai Emery is the Aston Villa manager, and the situation is that he has the power to block this move. Emery is not someone who gives up his best players without a fight. We have seen that dynamic in football before, and it creates genuine uncertainty here. So what is Arsenal's response to that risk? They already have a backup plan in place. Morgan Gibbs-White as the alternative. If the Rogers deal becomes impossible, it is now confirmed that Arsenal will turn to Morgan Gibbs-White of Nottingham Forest. This is not speculation, this has been reported clearly, and it tells you something important about how Arsenal operate. They never put all their eggs in one basket. Their recruitment strategy is built on having multiple high-quality targets for each position. Now here is where I want to give you some real analysis, because Gibbs-White is not a consolation prize, even if some supporters might see him that way. Last season, Gibbs-White scored 18 goals and provided 7 assists in all competitions. That is an exceptional return for a player who spent most of the season operating in attacking midfield, rather than as an out-and-out forward. He is versatile, he is Premier League proven, he performs against the big teams. He is not someone who disappears when the stakes are highest. However, the honest analysis here is this. Rogers is still the better option for Arsenal's specific needs. Rogers is younger, Rogers is more direct, Rogers is more physically imposing. And Rogers, as one supporter pointed out in the discussion around this story, is currently in the England squad while Gibbs-White is not. That distinction matters. It tells you where each player is in their development right now. Now, there is another obstacle with the Gibbs-White route that cannot be ignored. Last summer, Gibbs-White came extremely close to joining Tottenham. He had agreed everything personally. The deal was done from his side. But Nottingham Forest owner Evangelos Marinakis stepped in and blocked it. He convinced Gibbs-White to sign a new contract instead. The situation is that Arsenal would be walking into the same wall Tottenham hit last summer. Whether Marinakis would sanction a sale this time is genuinely unclear, especially with reports that Elliot Anderson is also expected to leave Forest this summer. Losing 2 key players in the same window would be a significant blow to Forest's ambitions, so Arsenal's attacking plan right now exists in a state of real uncertainty. Rogers is the dream. Gibbs-White is the backup. Both come with serious complications. That is the honest picture. Sandro Tonali and the midfield question. Now let us move to arguably the biggest financial story of this entire window for Arsenal. It is now clear that Arsenal are prepared to spend £100 million on Sandro Tonali, who is currently at Newcastle United. According to reporting from La Gazzetta dello Sport, Newcastle have placed a price tag of €115 million, which converts to approximately £100 million on Tonali. And the evidence suggests that Arsenal are not alone in this pursuit. Manchester City and Manchester United are both said to be ready to meet that same demand. Let me give you the full picture on Tonali first before the analysis. He is 26 years old. He returned from a betting ban and has rebuilt his reputation impressively. He is described as one of the most complete midfielders in the Premier League right now. His technical quality, his physicality, and his ability to control the tempo of a game make him exactly the type of player Arteta values and admires. Fabrizio Romano, who is arguably the most reliable source in European transfer journalism, has already confirmed that Arsenal have been in contact with people close to Tonali. This is not just media noise. There is genuine substance here. Now here is my analytical take on this, and I want to be direct about it. £100 million is an enormous fee. It is a fee that demands serious justification. And that justification becomes even more complicated when you consider that Arsenal spent £56 million on Martin Zubimendi just 12 months ago. Zubimendi was signed to strengthen the midfield. He was signed to be a key player. And now, just one season later, the club is considering spending almost double that amount on another midfielder. The situation is that Zubimendi had a difficult second half of last season. He was overplayed. He lost his place to Miles Lewis-Skelly during the run-in. That is a fact. It happened. And it raises a legitimate question about whether a £100 million midfielder coming in would effectively make Zubimendi surplus to requirements. If that happens, Arsenal would be writing off £56 million worth of investment after just 1 year. That is not good business. That is the risk. On the other hand, the counter-argument is also valid. If Arsenal are genuinely serious about closing the gap to clubs like Paris Saint-Germain and becoming real Champions League contenders, then players of Tonali's calibre might be exactly what is required. Sometimes you have to make uncomfortable financial decisions to reach the next level. It is also worth noting that Manchester City view Tonali as their ideal alternative if their pursuit of Elliot Anderson, which has already seen one bid rejected by Nottingham Forest, falls through. So Arsenal are not operating in a vacuum here. The competition for this signing is real, and it is coming from two of the biggest clubs in England. This story is one to watch very closely. Matheus Fernandes, the younger alternative. Here is a name that might surprise some supporters. It is now being reported that Arsenal are prioritising a move for Matheus Fernandes, the 21-year-old West Ham United midfielder. The report states that Arsenal view Fernandes as their top midfield target. West Ham are demanding more than €80 million for the Portuguese youngster. That is a significant fee for a player of his age, but it is considerably less than the £100 million Newcastle want for Tonali. Now, the analysis here is interesting. If Arsenal are simultaneously interested in Tonali at £100 million and Fernandes at €80 million, the question becomes about strategy. Are they looking for one big midfield signing or two? Can they afford both? Or is one the primary target and one the fallback, similar to the Rodgers and Gibbs-White situation in attack? There is also an external factor here that creates genuine uncertainty. West Ham joint chair David Sullivan has recently resigned, and the situation is that this resignation creates questions about how West Ham will handle their transfer business this summer. It is unclear how Sullivan's departure will affect the club's negotiating position or their willingness to sell key assets like Fernandes. What is clear is that Arsenal are doing their homework thoroughly. They are not waiting. They are identifying targets across multiple positions at multiple price points, and they are moving early. Leandro Trossard and the outgoing picture. Now let us look at the other side of this window, because transfer activity is never just about what comes in. Leandro Trossard, the Belgian winger who contributed 19 goals last season, is being made available for sale. Arsenal are reportedly willing to consider offers in the region of £20 million to £25 million for the player. Trossard is entering the final year of his contract, which significantly reduces Arsenal's negotiating power if they choose to hold on to him any longer. Besiktas have been identified as the club most seriously pursuing a deal for Trossard, but the situation is bigger than just one club. Atletico Madrid, Aston Villa, Newcastle United, Inter Milan and Juventus are all said to be monitoring the situation and have shown varying degrees of interest. Here is the analytical point I want to make about this. 19 goal contributions in a season is not the output of a fringe player. That is a meaningful contribution. But when you are Arsenal, when you are building toward Champions League dominance, and when your squad is evolving at the rate it currently is, you sometimes have to move players on to fund upgrades and to create space in the squad. The £20 to £25 million price range suggests Arsenal are being pragmatic here. They are not trying to squeeze maximum value out of a situation where Trossard's contract leverage is diminishing. They want to move quickly, get the deal done, and redirect that energy and those resources toward incoming business. It is a sensible, controlled approach. And it tells you something important about how this recruitment team thinks. Martin Ødegaard, the sale question, and the leadership picture. This brings us to perhaps the most emotionally charged piece of news in this entire summary. Paul Merson, the former Arsenal player and current television pundit, has suggested that Arsenal might be thinking about selling Martin Ødegaard this summer. Now let me be precise here, because the way this story is being reported matters. Merson himself described it as madness to even suggest it. His exact point was that Odegaard plays in a position that screams out for pace up front, and that the club might be thinking about it. He is not reporting inside information. He is offering a pundit opinion. That is an important distinction. The situation is that Odegaard remains one of the most important players in this Arsenal squad. Alexander Sørloth, the Norway striker, has spoken about Odegaard in terms that paint a picture of a player who is not just technically excellent, but who is a genuine leader in the truest sense of the word. Sørloth described Odegaard as someone who has become a very good leader, who is thoughtful, who cares about every player in the squad, and who is particularly attentive to new signings, helping them settle and integrate into the group. He called him a fantastic footballer and expressed real happiness at having him as captain. That kind of testimony matters. It is not just about what a player does with the ball. It is about what a player does for the culture and cohesion of a squad. And what Sørloth is describing is a player who is deeply embedded in the identity and spirit of this Arsenal team. The analytical conclusion here is straightforward. There is nothing in the confirmed facts that points toward an Odegaard sale being a real or imminent possibility. Merson raised the idea as a thought, not as inside knowledge, and the evidence from within the squad points in entirely the opposite direction. Odegaard is the captain. He is respected. He is valued. He is a leader. Unless something changes dramatically in the coming weeks, the situation is that Odegaard going anywhere this summer looks extremely unlikely. Bringing it all together, so let us now step back and look at the full picture of what is happening at Arsenal right now. In attack, the primary target is Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa, with Morgan Gibbs-White of Nottingham Forest as the confirmed backup option. Both deals have real complications. Neither is straightforward, but Arsenal have a plan and they have alternatives. In midfield, there are two serious targets. Sandro Tonali of Newcastle United at £100 million and Matheus Fernandes of West Ham at over €80 million. The competition for Tonali is fierce, with Manchester City and Manchester United also involved. The Fernandes situation has extra complexity due to the ownership uncertainty at West Ham. On the outgoing side, Leandro Trossard is available for £20 to £25 million, with multiple clubs from multiple countries showing genuine interest. And the leadership of the squad, anchored by Martin Ødegaard, appears stable and intact, despite one pundit floating the idea of a possible sale. The reality for this club is that they are operating from a position of strength. They are champions, they have resources, they have a clear plan, and they are moving with purpose and intelligence. Whether they get all of these deals done is another question. Transfer windows are unpredictable, clubs block deals, negotiations collapse, players change their minds. But what is absolutely evident right now is that Arsenal are not sitting still. They are hunting, and that is exactly what champions are supposed to do. Closing, that is your full Arsenal transfer analysis for today here on Arsenal Daily Talk. Every point in this breakdown is grounded in confirmed reports and verified facts. No speculation. No invention. Just clear, honest football analysis. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below telling me which signing you think Arsenal need most this summer. Is it Rodgers? Is it Tonali? Or is there another name you want Arteta to target? Let me know. The discussion in the comments here is always worth reading. Thank you for watching Arsenal Daily Talk. Stay sharp, stay informed, and we will see you in the next one.